Oh, we live. We live?
We're live.
We live. Yes, let's go. Should I feel like I should I don't know, I feel like I should have a phone in my hand. We live, but it's a little different vibe. All right, so sweet. Today, well, first of all, welcome. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what I guess what we learned. What was it? What we learned from
Oh my goodness. No, so today we're going to speak about,
yeah, you
first of
wrote
all,
it down.
we're going to explain what DevYou is, what our mission is, and then we're going to hop into Lee and I's personal narratives, and then we'll conclude with what we find exciting about starting our next classes up in October.
Yes, I was supposed to kick off, but man, he wrote the notes. Not I didn't have them with me. Thank you for that beautiful kickoff.
Indeed. So we here. So let's talk about what is DevYou? Why did DevYou start? What's our mission? What are we trying to do?
Oh man, if we're talking mission statements, and I don't have that on hand, but what we do is we're introducing people into the technology, into software development. We want to grow that software development community, and we want to teach people the skills necessary to do their own independent coding. We also want to teach people to just get excited about improving in their life journey. The DevYou, short for develop yourself, or it can be shortened of a shortened version of develop yourself. And it's that's really encouraging folks to, take the reins of their life and jump into development. Because one thing we do find is that oftentimes people are very nervous about taking that first step, especially if it's a career jump, if you're moving from one industry into a whole different space, if you're not super technical or not technical at all, and you're jumping into this technical space that seems very complex and all these different things going on in it, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but we wanted to create a community and a support force for folks to make that transition a lot easier. Both of us are people who crossed over into technology. Neither of us studied computer science in college, or maybe we both took some classes. We took some classes in computer science, one or two maybe.
One or two, but I did not do well. I will tell you that.
But here we are today. We ain't talking about the past. No, we talking about today. Um, but yeah, I took a, I was, I made, yes, I did math classes, so we overlap a little bit computer science stuff. So, but I never really like during that time, I never really thought of it as a potential career in the long term. But anywho, our part of our mission and our purpose in this, I guess, endeavor is to I guess provide support, because we know that that transition can be difficult and it can be scary. And then sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody help you along the way and have somebody rooting for you and reminding you that, hey, these things that you're going through along this journey is pretty normal. So when you're having those down days, it's like, oh man, I'm not learning something. You have those roadblocks. It's like, oh, this is a waste of time. We've all been through that. Anybody in the tech spaces has been through that, and they continue to go through that as they go throughout their career. So just having some people behind you saying, hey, let's go. You got it, you got it. Remember how far you came. Remember 2 weeks ago you didn't know XYZ. Now you writing code. So it's like we sometimes just need that reminder that you're making progress on stuff. So that's why we came about, and that's what we're doing, and that's our mission. That's why we're trying to make this wave.
I dig it, man. Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, access and opportunity, right? Like I feel like that's what we were blessed with. We either happened to be in the right place at the right time, or throughout networks, we were able to cross with the right people, and we were provided that access and opportunity. And I think that a big part of our mission is being able to also give that access and opportunity. Since both of us has been so fortunate in the industry to like transition, and we've kind of paved our own ways, if you will. So now we can help new developers uh, find that way and give them advice on how to find that way. And DevYou, our goal is to start that with foundational learning of whatever the topic is. Currently, we focus on C# and Java and front end development. And so our goal is to provide foundational learnings within those languages, because we strongly believe that if you can get a foundation in one of the key languages, then you're set. After that, you can pick up a framework, or you can learn a new language, or you can pull in the rest of the stack, but you got to have some foundation somewhere. And so we try to give you structure and start that there. So we started briefly with some of the narrative of like how we got into tech. Well, let's hear your story, Lee. What you got? How did you get into tech, and then where are you now?
So I guess my transition to tech came from I don't know, I just took a leap of faith. I worked in education prior to no, I guess I still do work in education, or I still do work in education, but I was like on the ground in education prior to moving over into to, uh, into technology. Um, I got into it because I was interested in starting a summer program for students. It was focused on we're looking at doing a photography program, and like I saw an opportunity to join Grand Circus Boot Camp in here in Detroit or in Detroit. And I took that opportunity. You know, it was a tough time because I just left a job, and I really didn't take it in terms of for actually getting a job in technology. I was just curious. Like I know, majoring in math, I felt like it might be something I would pick up, fairly quickly or fairly easily. Um, and I wanted to exercise that part of my brain again because doing my work with students in the school, it was a lot of people work. And it's also a lot of strategic work as well, but I really wanted to get that mathematical and scientific synapses in my brain sparked again. So that was one of the major reasons that I wanted to learn to code. And also I read somewhere because I am like overall I'm interested in leadership and like big fish goals is to eventually lead a company. And I and and why are you laughing?
Nothing. I mean, yeah, those the goals. You got it.
Yeah, why is that funny, man? That's the big shit goal or the big fish goal. It's to lead a company, and I read in a blog somewhere that leaders for tomorrow or leaders for today or however you want to see it, they have to understand technology. So that was really my draw to get into it. So that was like the reason why. So like the best way to learn it is to do it. So I learned to code, through the program. I ended up getting a job because I needed to make some income. And like as things got to rolling, like it turned out to be a really solid decision. And like I did like a boot camp. It was tough, because they really sped through things, so you missed a lot of pieces. But you kind of have to fill those gaps on your own. And like as I got into the industry, like I found that one, I like the industry because everyone is super helpful. Like the developer community in most spaces that I've been in, like it's all about educating the next person. The like true developers, they talk about uh, open source everything. Everything should be free. Knowledge should be free and accessible. And like that's how it is. And like when people sit down and show you something, they really want you to learn stuff, and they like people get excited about teaching others, and they get excited about learning new and better software. And that's like I found that to be pretty common across the industry. People want to see people come into the industry, but want to see the right people come to the industry. Want to see people who are passionate about figuring things out, solving problems, tinkering with things, and just making cool and innovative stuff, through software. And just, I guess, like I really vibe with that. And I guess as things went along, I kind of jumped into the job market as a software quality engineer, and then moved over into leadership, and been kind of sitting in the leadership spot for a while. But I still like to jump back in that code because I do like if I'm away from it too long, you know, I start to feel a little antsy. So I need to at least do something. So I was glad to have the opportunity to do DevYou and really get back in the code. It was like something that kind of inspired me to start coding again and then keep my fingers moving. Because you know, if you don't do it, you know, then you lose it. You know, they said what's the phrase? You don't use it, you lose it.
Oh yeah, ABC.
Always be
Always be
coding.
coding.
Hey.
Know it.
So H, what was your story? How did learning to code impact you? What was your journey into coding, getting into coding?
Yeah, honestly, I want to say that like I want to point out that like what you did to get into the tech industry like was like my like baseline inspiration. Because you don't give yourself enough credit. Because this man quit his job. Like you were jobless for a minute. Like it was like you
Hey,
hit
you
me
gotta
up.
rub it in. Like, you jobless, but
Hey,
hey.
look, you hit me up and you was like, "Hey, H, I think I'm about to quit," and I was like, "You got something else lined up?" He was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna chill." And I was like, "All right, okay." So then you quit, and then you tell me not only did you quit, but you about to go enroll in this boot camp where you got to pay thousands of dollars. I'm like, well, you ain't got no job. Where you
That
getting
I
these
ain't
thousands of dollars?
have.
Like, you got to pay these thousands of dollars to go to this boot camp because you want to get into tech. And I was like, man, that sounds risky, but I'm with it, right? And so seeing you transition, like you taking that risk and then it actually paying off for you was inspiring for me. And so I wanted to figure out how I could make that jump, but I wasn't as brave to just quit a job and have nothing lined up, or I also didn't have the finances to pay out of pocket for the experience. And so for me, it kind of happened happenstance. In my previous position, I was on an elevator talking to someone, showing them like an apartment because I was a uh, 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 what do you call it?
Property manager.
Property manager. And so she was expressing to me how she was a software engineer, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. My friend is a software engineer. Like, how'd you get into it?" And she told me, you know, like, "Oh, I went through this program called Experience IT, and it was free." And that's all she needed to say for me was free.
Ah,
And I was like, "All right, cool." As soon as we got off that elevator, I applied, went through, you know, all the things, and they was like, "Look, this is a full time boot camp, so it's 9 to 5. So, you know, if you working, you can't work a 9 to 5 to do this." And I was like, "Oh, here's my chance to do what Lee did." So I quit.
yeah, I
I
will
quit.
say you was a lot more strategic with your move into it. Cause man, that was like it was like damn kudos, man. Like when you told me about it, cause I remember it's like, man, I'm about to do it. I'm like, what you about to do it? I'm like, now I'm getting into code, man. I got into Experience IT. I'm like, what's that? Like it's a free boot camp. I'm like, oh, free? I'm like, damn. Like, why ain't nobody tell me this? But you definitely took the more calculated approach, and
Hey,
you
but we
always
we
do that.
arrived. Oh yeah, you
Hey.
know, we you take the road less traveled, and then I learn from your mistakes. And then I'm like, all right, like, here's a more calculated way to make that move. Um, but no, I, you know, like, and from there, uh, and I think like what was similar in both of our situations, which I admire, is that like our backs were against the wall, right? Like we didn't have a job, so we had to put all chips were in, and we had to like put it all and make it work. And so that was like that was my goal. It was like, look, I don't care what's gonna happen. If I need to put in extra hours after, then I'm gonna do it. But for these 12 weeks or however long the program was, like I'm committed, and this is my mission. If I'm quitting my job, I have nothing to turn back on, so I got to make this work. And fortunately enough, I was able to land a software engineering gig at uh, Quicken Loans, and then transition into the learning and development space on the side of training software engineers, which is more of like where my passion lies. And so again, it just kind of like cards just kind of worked out that when our idea came together about DevYou, I was already in that space. You already had a passion and you had the drive to get that rolling. And so here we are. Here we are.
Here we are. Now, what like just for folks who might be watching or watch, uh, like what do you think, or why do you think it might be a good move for other folks to learn to code just at a base level?
So you know, a lot of people in general come to me, right, and they're like, "Hey, H, I want to get into software development, or I want to get into coding," and you know, my first question to them is like, "Why?" Right? Because it has to be more than just for the money. Everyone hears software engineering and they're like, "Oh, you can make crazy amounts of money." It's like, yeah, you can, but you also, just like any position, you got to be good at what you do, and you got to get there. It's not like an overnight success. And so, where a lot of those new people or those people who have interests, where they fall is that uh, they'll go out and they'll try something online, like they'll try some Udemy classes, some YouTube courses, they'll try some things, and they'll get the ball rolling. But a lot of them lack the discipline and the structure that you would need to actually like get you to that next step. And so, and I'll admit, like that's what I needed. Like there was no way in the world I was gonna watch a YouTube video and feel like I was adequate at developing. And so like having the opportunity to go through some sort of program that has a curriculum structured with exercises and labs and instructors that I can bounce questions off of and other people that I can collaborate with, like that's all part of the learning experience that I feel that was valuable in me becoming adequate at, like I wasn't even looking for like excel, and I was looking for like how do I become adequate at this thing. What about you?
And also, like just to add on to that a little bit, like with following those videos on YouTube and stuff, there's still a bit of a learning curve because a lot of the videos, like it's folks who've been in the industry for a while and they speak a lingo. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're in the industry for a while, you speak a lingo and you don't even know it. Like you have a certain words in your vocabulary that you just kind of throw off because you use every day. And for the beginner, like you're speaking a different language. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, slow down. So sometimes it's difficult to follow some of the YouTube videos. And I say that like really like when you get to a point where you can, I feel like there's a point you have to get to where you can watch the YouTube videos or a lot of them and like really get some good information and really learn from them, like especially as a really like early stage beginner. um and again, that's kind of, I'm kind of saying that to speak to like why we put DevYou together, so we can give that foundation. So you have an instructor there. So when if we're being a bit jargony, you could pop that hand up and say, hey, what do you mean by encapsulate? It's like, hey, what do you mean by, container? Like what, like, we're spitting out these words because we're used to them. And like also like H, you're in the spot where, you're in front of, people who are learning to code more often. So you may be a bit more aware than I am. So that I know that's a thing for me. I might get a little jargony at times. So I have to check myself for that. But to answer the question of where or what value it may be in coding, um, or learning to code, I just feel that technology is not going anywhere. And just knowing it, and for me, just having a skill to be able to do it, uh, is good to have in the back pocket.
All right, I
Yo,
got a question real quick. So,
yeah,
because people say this as a blanket statement, and I want to be clear about this. So you say technology is not going anywhere, or you hear people say technology is the future, or technology is like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by technology isn't going anywhere?
it's not like it's here to stay. Like it's let me see. Trying to think of an analogy. I ain't got one off the pocket, but 20 years from now, technology will be utilized in a very different manner, but it'll still be utilized. I feel like it is the base of something that will continue to that we will continue to grow upon. Like, I guess an analogy would be like the internet itself. Like the internet isn't going away. It may change and more, like we may change how we use it or what we utilize it for. But at a base level, the internet is here to stay. It's a tool that will be utilized for certainly for, for my lifetime. I can almost, I mean, I can't predict the future, but I say that, it's here. And like a lot, especially like as you look at a lot of the jobs nowadays, a lot of them are looking for you to have some kind of tech savvy component of your credentials. And like when you look at some of the higher paying jobs, like you get into data science, and a lot of that is just, a lot, that's all technology. And they're looking for that talent who's able to understand what's going on behind these screens that people are in front of for hours out their day.
Right. And even if you look at companies, oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I was gonna say, even if you look at company standpoint, you hear it more and more today that companies are saying we're a technology company that happens to do this thing. And you're like, wait, I thought y'all did that. Uh, like I just recently heard that Tesla says that they're a technology company that happens to build cars. Right. So like everybody's shifting towards that like idea of like, no, our base business is technology, and this is the means in which we're using that technology. So like when I hear that statement, like, I mean, we've seen it. Like you see every day jobs are being replaced by some sort of automated process. That, I mean, that's technology. Technology is doing that, and we're in like the infancy of technology. Like the internet and technology is still very young, and it's hard to imagine because we've grown up with it so far. But like, I mean, I still remember a day when internet was just AOL and it was dial up, right? Like, and we're not that old in most cases. But that's within like a 30-year span, right? Like, which is crazy to think about. Like that's only within this 30 years of how like technology has grown. So give it another 30 years and everything is working exponentially. Like you're right, technology isn't going anywhere. It's only going to become more of an integrated part of our life. And so like I feel like being a software engineer is going to be like having a GM factory job back in the day. Like if you're working, like you're a software engineer, but it's like, oh, you work at the plant. I'm starting to see that parallel. Like, oh yeah, he work at the plant. He making good money. He got good benefits. He's a software engineer. He's working here. He's got good benefits. There's a need for them. So I think it's just going to be like the base white collar job, if you will.
And like we're in it. Like and we see it, so we're in it. And then it's why like you see a lot of these different programs popping up teaching people to code. It's why you see you look for software engineering jobs on the market, and they're out there. And just even outside of software engineering, data scientists, engineers, like because when you speak about technology, you're kind of speaking of that broader technology, not just the software side of it. But all of those are like are what's driving our industries at the moment in businesses. And a lot of the businesses are trying to push that because it's the manner that we're using to make business more efficient. And I think that's why it's not going anywhere. Like it's like the invention of machines. Like it's like, oh wow, if we have this machine that can do the same work with one person who controls the machine, and they can do the work of 20 people. It's like, wow. So I mean, yeah, you go through this whole wave of I won't even go on that whole track. But but yeah, like it makes things more efficient, or it has the ability to make things more efficient.
For sure.
Bad technology puts us in a backward spot,
For
and
sure.
I see that sometimes. But when done correctly, it can make things way more efficient. Even if it's done incorrectly, it can make things a little bit more efficient. But if you do it in the right way, like you could definitely get a good ROI. That's a business, and
For sure.
that's this capitalist society. That's what businesses look for. They look for that money.
So so we're gonna do a few more of these and we'll dive deeper into some of these other topics that we have brushed on currently. But we want to keep these short and sweet. So we'll go ahead and hop into so our next DevYou class is starting October 4th, 5:30 to 7:30 Eastern time. Sign up is happening right now at devyou.org. So please go over there, check that out. Sign up for the class. What's the cost structure, Lee?
So the cost structure is C Sharp Foundations one is a 6 weeks course. We meet every Monday from 5:30 to 7:30 again. And if you pay for the full course in full, it's $120. And if you do course class by class, so paper class, it's $30 per class.
Yeah. So either way, huge deal. I mean, if you look at some of just like the online training that's just like already put together through some of the Udemy's and Plural sites, you're already paying prices like that. And the benefit with our course is that you actually get two instructors who are there in the class with you answering questions throughout the week, as well as like we have like industry experience to offer, which I think is more valuable than the $30 or $120 that you're going to pay for our course. And so, since we're talking about that, Lee, our last topic is what excites you about this next cohort of DevYou that's coming up?
I guess something that excites me about it is just seeing the next group of people. Like I feel like each time we get a group of people, it's always fun getting to know the students in the classroom and really getting to know like what their goals are and being able to help them with that. And also just based on the energy that I've been getting as I've been doing a bit of traveling. I tell people, oh, I teach software, join the class, and people like I've met a lot of people, or I met several people who were really interested in learning to code, and like they sound like they're really driven to jump into the industry, and just being able to make that impact. And especially as I've traveled to some smaller like towns that might not have like real big tech spaces. So just being able to give people a way to like learn from people and real experienced people who are in the industry and have some know-how and know how to navigate what's I guess jumping into the industry because it seems like that knowledge and information is lacking for a lot of people, and I feel like just being able to serve a different set of people who are all looking for the same goal of jumping into technology, it's always fun to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's cool that like I mean this is what number are we on right now?
This cohort,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. Well, this would be our third year though, ain't it?
Yeah, I think we're rolling, yeah, 2 or 3 years. The first couple of years we were all year, back to back with
Yeah.
courses and workshops. So we've we've had a lot of these, and I agree with you. Like that's what excites me the mostly is like the demographic that we attract and the people outside of like their passion to learn the code, but just hearing like the different walks of life that are interested in getting into and the reasons why they're interested in getting into tech, right? Because we've had the college student who's like, look, I'm about to take some computer science courses and I just want to get a head start. So they take our class. We've had the more seasoned person in their career who's like, it's time for a change, right? And it's always, that's a cool thing to see. Like you're at a senior level in whatever your position is, and now you're like, I'm willing to start over and be at the beginning. Like that's cool. And just seeing how, like, we start the class and they start out with writing hello world, and then all of the light bulbs that get us to the end of that 6 weeks and the end of the next 8 weeks within the version 2 of that class. And yeah, I mean, that's what excites me about training in general. So like, of course, that's what excites me about this next cohort that we're bringing. Not to mention that our curriculum is fire. Just saying.
Yeah, and that's another fun part is, it gets better over time. Like we're constantly adding and critiquing, how we do things. But yeah, like just to kind of like just add on to what you just said there, like it's exciting. Like everyone has their own narrative, and so they all bring something to the table. So it's not just us teaching, but we're learning as well. Like, you get people who might be going into this because they want to learn coding for gaming. And they might drop some fresh knowledge on us about something that they was working on or something they'd like to do in the future, and it kind of get those synapses sparked. And that's what I enjoy. I love learning, and I love I feel a responsibility when you learn that you teach. But I do love learning, and just having that different cohort of people brings a whole different set of people that you can learn from.
For sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will not keep you on that long. We appreciate you tuning in. Again, DevYou.org is where you can sign up for our next course, October 4th. It's there, it's live, it's ready. And stay tuned for more videos. We're going to do a live every Monday until the start of class, and just give advice on starting out as a new developer and just speak from our experience in the field.
And if you have questions, if you got questions or anything about the course, the industry, making that career change, software just in general, if you got any questions, you just feel the need to ask, or feel a desire to ask, feel free to drop a comment, drop a message. We check our stuff. So yeah, drop a message, comment, however you feel. We'll be sure to try to get that answered for you.
Sweet. In the meantime, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.